David here. So, I would like to explain a little concept about const versus let. This seems pretty obvious for most of people out there, but there is a question that I get a lot, which is, uh, at what moment should I use const, or should I always use const, or should I always use let? Here is my framework, the way I think about using one versus the other. So let's say, for example, here you see there is a function delay, and that function there, what I'm supposed to do with that function is basically create a function, write a function that is going to delay any processes, right? So if you give it the process as a parameter, it will just delay that process. So the way I thought about it was like, okay, I'm going to make sure that I can just call set timeout and just pass the process, right? So I'm just gonna call that process a function, and so I'm gonna receive the function here, and I really don't know the type of that function for now, but let's assume that I'm just gonna give it this a signature, and then I'm going to have a period, which is basically here a number that I can then pass right there. However, um, I would love to make sure that whenever um, this delay function is being called, later on it has a capability to actually return a way to unsubscribe from that mechanism set timeout here that uh, created the delay a moment, right? So what I'm going to do here is just to return a way to actually subscribe from it. So what I'm gonna do here is call a clear timeout, and then pass the timeout ID. Now look what's gonna happen here. Here I'm going to start with the const and say, hey, this is the ID, right? I start with the const, and now here I can go and pass this ID, right? Now, but I have a constraint here, is the fact that I would love to, for example, say whenever this function start, I'm gonna have a way of to construct that set timeout, right? So bear with me a second. So instead of this being here, it's going to be inside there. So that's a principle that we've seen in the past, where before we had classes in JavaScript, people were using either a construct like this or init or something like that to kind of initiate a process, right? So let's call that a construct here. I'm calling it construct short, to be short of constructor, right? Construct as short constructor. Now you see that this ID here isn't available. It's not in the scope anymore of this, right? So which technically means that now to make it work, I have to declare that ID over there. But if I do so, now if I do this, you see right away here it's complaining that, hey, you cannot not give an initial value to this, so let's say null. So now this one there should be quite all right, but then right below I'm actually trying to reassign that, right? So that won't work. So now here I can safely save and go with that ID, and then in this case you don't really have to give it an initial value, but now the only thing that is missing is the fact that it doesn't know the type of the thing. So if you watch my previous one of the type, you're gonna see that I explained to you how you can use return type to actually type this, right? So now you can see that right there, and I can call construct, right? So construct will trigger this. So if I go right below and basically say call unsubscribe, and then I'm gonna call the delay function here, and say pass a function that say hello world. We don't really care about what it does here. Say hello world, and then I can give it a timer, a period of 1 second, right? So once we do that, we clearly see that everything here is kind of working. So the construct is being called here, and now right there I use a let versus a const, right? So in that whole approach of writing that, I went with, hey, let's start with a const first, and then as I'm writing, I realize that, oh, I actually need that thing to be reassigned at some point. Then I move it back to a place where I could use a let. And right here, for example, now I have a const. You see, I didn't even think about it. Have a const for unsubscribe, but I could have put a let there. But if I do so, it's not. Why will I do that? Because I'm not planning to reassign unsubscribe. So right. So you stay with the const here. And by the way, the const, it's, you can just call it unsubscribe there. And you see now everything here is being used. You see the green dot on the left showing that this entire thing has been used, and now the thing is working, right? So a short video here to quickly explain you this concept of const versus let, and my thinking process when I'm trying to use one versus the other, right? So hope this was useful. See you on the next video. You take care. Bye.